The Catholic Morning Show.
Going to turn to the Director of Finance here at Iowa Catholic Radio as he spends his final hours, I guess. We can almost down to hours. He's going to step away from Iowa Catholic Radio after serving our apostolate for 13 years. Brian Sweeney, I'll start with a thank you for all of you that you have done. I am in the position I am today because of your great work in helping steer the finances of Iowa Catholic Radio.
Wow, that's very, very kind of you to say, Deacon.
Well, it's I say it with sincerity because, again, if there weren't people who were doing the necessary work before to not only stabilize this mission, but to help it be in a position to grow and continue to thrive in connecting people to Christ and His church on their faith journey, I would be remiss if I didn't express gratitude for those the many people who have gone before me. Let's go back to the beginning and how you found your way as the Director of Finance for Iowa Catholic Radio 13 years ago.
13 years ago.
I'm trying to, in my mind, think of where I was 13 years ago, and Iowa Catholic Radio wasn't even a glimpse on the horizon.
Well, it really wasn't for me either 13 years ago. I was I still am a self-employed consultant, but I wasn't doing much else, and I had a big project that was coming to a close, and I really wasn't sure what was going to happen next. And I was sitting on the edge of the bed one morning, putting my shoes on, and I heard, "Be ready." Okay, sure. And a day or two later, my sister, who at the time was the business manager at Holy Trinity, calls me up and says, "Iowa Catholic Radio is looking for accountant, business manager or something." I said, "Well, okay. I don't know a whole lot about radio, but accounting is accounting. And so send me the job description." So I looked at the job description, said, "Yeah, that looks like me. I can do that." So I interviewed and started part-time in middle of April of 2013.
And when you took over, things were a little bit in disarray. Is that a fair statement of, and not to throw any past business managers under the bus, but when you're a nonprofit, a small nonprofit, which we very much were at that point in time, you had to come in and do some reorganization, which is kind of like one of your specialties.
Well, when I got there, it had not been made abundantly clear to me that nobody had touched the books for 9 months. And like, okay, I've been in public accounting. I've seen, public accounting and consulting for many years. I've seen big messes before. And I was handed 2 large grocery sacks of paper. Here's what we have. And here's a sign into QuickBooks and see what you can do. So worked on it. It took about a week, got it all settled up. Things were pretty close, and we just kept going. And it's kind of funny and kind of not. The next, the board meeting would have been not too much longer after that. And my report was, we used the computer to write checks. That was like a big deal. Hooray. And so it was a very, very different organization then than it is today as far as size and dollars and signals and everything.
Yeah. That tells you what the state of the organization is, that you got them in paper sacks, not even a box. It was a paper sack. Mm-hmm. And that part-time job sounds like it became full-time, at least temporarily.
It became a full-time job couple years maybe after that. Mm-hmm. And we went along, and it was full time. We were downtown in the basement of the diocese building for a while, and then we were over on Westtown Parkway for a while. And when we were over in Westtown Parkway, March the 16th, 2020, we're all leaving. Wow. Okay. So we bug out. I go home. I love working in my home office, always have. And so worked in the home office, and pretty soon I discover after a couple of days, I'm getting my work done in like 2 or 3 hours instead of 8. Yeah. So that's how much time we were spending in hallway conversations and other stuff that really wasn't terribly productive. So that in July of 20, I'd been an adjunct at Drake for a long time. I started as a part-time instructor at Drake in spring of 14. And Drake called. There was an opening for the full-time faculty, and the department chair called me and said, "You will apply." No question mark behind that sentence. You will apply for this job. So I did. And so I got a full-time appointment at Drake in the fall of 20. And I talked to Joe Teelian and Terry McGonigal and said, "Look, I'm going to Drake. COVID has taught me that this is really a full-time job. So you can cut my salary in half. I'll continue to do the work, but I'm going to Drake. You guys can decide what you want." They go, "Well, yeah, we'll do that." So, doubled up and was, and plus I have a few other consulting clients. And so working 70, 80 hours a week since then has been the norm.
Yeah.
Well, when school's in session anyway. Summer's a lot less.
Sure. And so you kind of speak there again to your integrity, recognizing that it was not a full-time commitment, and so you made those willing to make those adjustments and stay with us as we speak with Brian Sweeney, outgoing director of finance here at Iowa Catholic Radio. As you look back on these 13 years, maybe talk about what has most impressed you, most surprised you, maybe what you're most proud of in that taking those grocery sacks of receipts and invoices to where we are today with, again, 8 stations across the state of Iowa, a $2 million budget, a growing staff, and reaching more people than we ever have before. What are some of the highlights for you? I think
one of them, and I think maybe only the accountants in the audience might really appreciate this, but going from 2 paper sacks to a budget this year of about $2.4 million. And I think this is the 4th year that we will have a full financial audit. And the first year audits are always a pain, but the audit of the work that I've done has passed the auditors with very minimal adjustments. We sometimes have interesting conversations about the accounting treatment of some of the stuff that we're doing, but I have a winning percentage as far as convincing the auditors that what we're doing is the correct thing to do. And I think it's helpful that I did that work very early in my career, so I know how it goes. Mm-hmm. So I think being able to say that my work has passed the scrutiny of the audit, I think is really a high point for me.
And then you have a heart for nonprofits. You do some work with Iowa Service Dogs. Talk about the opportunity to be a part of mission-driven work, not only just as a consultant, but being deeply involved as you have been. I think mission-driven work. I go back to growing up. My parents both were very heavily involved my dad in Holy Name Society, American Legion. My mom did other stuff, and they never told us that we should volunteer. They just modeled it. And so that I just, whatever happens in your household is normal, right? Growing up. So that was what people do. And so I was involved, when I was living at home, I was involved in Holy Name Society. I ran the Christmas tree lot one year, that kind of thing. But mission-driven work is the most rewarding when you see the results of the work that you've done, particularly around Angie, my wife, and I's involvement with service dogs, to see the transformation of a disabled military veteran or first responder who is borderline suicidal, gets a dog and they become, I won't say they become a normal person, but they certainly become closer to that and become much more active and have a much more meaningful and fulfilling life. And to see that transformation makes all the work worth it. Mm. It's the same thing here when you hear people like Father McGarry who said, "Hey, Iowa Catholic Radio was instrumental in my discerning the priesthood," or other people that says, "Hey, I was a fallen away Catholic and I've stumbled on Iowa Catholic Radio and I've come back to embrace my faith," and things like that make it all worth it. Absolutely. Well, Brian, on behalf of, I think I can speak on behalf of the board, all of our team here at Iowa Catholic Radio, our listeners, when we have our, quarterly meetings and we give shout outs, I've selected you intentionally a couple times for those shout outs because you're like the lineman. People see the big plays, they see the expansion, they see all this, but it's really you doing the work behind the scenes, the real work behind the scenes to make sure that, again, our that's one thing is my role as executive director, I've been so happy about is that I never have to worry about us falling behind on invoices. We're always current with our accounts. And it's just been a great privilege and joy to work with you, alongside you, and that we formed a friendship that will last beyond our days here together.
Without a doubt.
Awesome. Brian Sweeney, outgoing director of finance for Iowa Catholic Radio. Again, we're just tremendously grateful for all he's done over these last 13 years. And we couldn't do it without you, the listener, as well. So maybe in Brian's honor, you want to make a gift. 515-223-1150. Hey, I'm shameless. I will use every opportunity, Mr. Sweeney, and I know you appreciate that.
I do appreciate that, and I've said for a long time that God gives us what we need. I just wish he wouldn't cut it quite so close.
Exactly. So 515-223-1150 or online at iowacatholicradio.com. And so it's not goodbye, but see you later. And so I invite you to join me with prayers. We wish Brian well on his future endeavors, and also a prayer for Iowa Catholic Radio as we go through the transition. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, amen. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, the rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand.
Listen to the Catholic Morning Show weekdays at 7 a.m. Central on the Iowa Catholic Radio Network, iowacatholicradio.com, or the Iowa Catholic Radio app.